Welcome, all my fellow Washington brethren and sisters. I am your man and resident Washington football team fan, Luke. Thank you for joining me here on the Washington Football Report. Day 2 of the 2021 NFL Draft is in the books. Washington made their 3 selections. Want to talk about them quickly, give you my thoughts on those picks. I actually had a chance to sit down and listen to Ron Rivera and Martin Mayhew discuss the 3 selections that were made on day 2, and that will kind of give me a little bit more clarity as to how they envision those players fitting in the mix with this roster, and then give you a quick brief synopsis of what I think is going to transpire in day number 3. So with the remaining 4 picks that Washington has on the board. So first pick that Washington made on day number 2 was in the second round, 51st overall. Offensive tackle Samuel Cosmi out of Texas. Went back, watched some more tape of Samuel Cosmi last night after the 7.5-hour marathon stream that took place. And it reinforced what I already knew and what I had already gathered watching tape on him prior to the draft. You're talking about a 3-year starter, 2 years starting at left tackle, 1 year starting at right tackle. Very durable. Like I said, he's not a man mover in the run game, but what he does do is he takes good angles. He's got good feet, does a great job of sealing off defenders, creating a clear rush lane or path for a ball carrier. Does a really good job of washing guys around the pocket, keeping the integrity of the pocket intact. Does a tremendous job of using his hands to keep defenders at bay. When he does struggle, and it's not very often, but when he does struggle, it's allowing defenders to get into his chest and drive him back. He can be driven back, but again, he's very stout at the point of attack, both in the run game and in the pass game. Does a great job of absorbing contact. Does a great job of anchoring down when his base is set. He's not going to be driven back into the lap of the quarterback. This is a solid guy. Ron said he's going to get him an opportunity to play left tackle. That's what he did at college for the last 2 years. So the thought process is to bring him in, compete at the left tackle position, and see where it goes from there. So, of course, he has positional flex, but they want him to play left tackle. That's what they drafted him to do. They said they had calls and offers to move out of that pick. But the temptation to take Samuel Cosmi and understanding that there was a run on tackles and that the position was getting really thin because there were some receivers they said that they were also there that they really wanted to take. But the tackle position was the most important, and it was starting to dry up. So I love the pick. I talked about it last night. It's hard for me to get overly excited about a tackle, but it's a necessary evil. You have to take these guys, and I think we got a really good one here in Samuel Cosmi. So feel really good about that pick. We go to the 3rd round. Washington spends the 74th pick overall on Minnesota cornerback Benjamin St-Juste. This was a pick that I wasn't all that thrilled about. Went back, watched more tape. Again, all it did was reinforce the work that I'd done prior to the draft, which was solid corner, long, active, 6'3", 200-pound corner, 4'5", 140. Talked about all of those good things last night. And he's got length, and he can be disruptive at the point of catch. Talked about that and all of those things that he brings to the table. He's a guy, though, that I'm not overly thrilled about, but they are. And when you listen to them talk, they think that his ability, and let's just go ahead and nip this in the bud. Yeah, he's got positional flex. Yeah, he did work out at the Senior Bowl as a free safety at times. They don't view him as a free safety, okay? It's good that he can do that. They view him as a cornerback. And you listen to Ron talk, they're not thinking about this guy playing safety right now. They're thinking about this guy as a corner. And I think they feel like he gives them a little bit of versatility, that they can move Kendall Fuller around, do some different things. Maybe Fuller can even play some free safety. Remember, they experimented with that last year. And every time they moved Fuller from corner to safety, something tragic happened at corner or at safety. So I think they feel like a guy like Benjamin St-Juste gives them a little bit more flexibility. He can come up and play press. I've contended that And Mayhew said that at the Senior Bowls where he fell in love with St-Juste, and he said he used his length at the Senior Bowl. When you watch him on tape, he doesn't always use his length at the line of scrimmage. He wants to turn and run with you. He wants to open up his hips, run with you. Doesn't want to lay hands on you at the line of scrimmage. Well, that's contrary to what Mayhew saw at the Senior Bowl. So if he is going to use his length, and I told you he can be disruptive early on underneath, he can be handsy at times as well. We'll see. Again, just because he doesn't have any ball production in college doesn't mean he won't have any at the pros. We'll see what Benjamin St-Juste is all about and how they decide to use him. Sounds like they're going to try to play a little bit more man-to-man this year. Remember, we were really primarily a zone-heavy team, and zone a lot of times converts to man depending on the route combinations that you get. So we'll see what they decide to do. Ron wouldn't get into specifics with schematics, and nor should he, but he did kind of allude to the fact that he does give them a little bit more diversity as to what they can do from a defensive schematics standpoint, which means a little bit more man-to-man coverage, which is why they went out and got William Jackson. So I see Benjamin St-Juste in that same light. So we'll see what happens. Again, don't love the pick. I'm not going to tell you that I've changed my mind on this pick. I still kind of feel the same way that I did yesterday. St-Juste is a really solid selection, but not one that I'm overly thrilled about. But we'll see. I trust Ron. I trust Martin Mayhew. I trust the board. They say that this is a guy that they were really excited about. Well, we'll see what happens with him. And then finally, Dyami Brown was the third pick of the day, 82nd overall, second, third round pick for Washington, their final pick of day number 2. And this is the North Carolina wide receiver with blazing speed. Again, 4.44 doesn't sound like blazing speed when you hear all these guys running 4.2 this and 4.3 that. But when you watch him on tape, there is a level of acceleration that this guy brings to the table. He's a game changer. Ron talked about his ability to stack cornerbacks, get in front of them, and then accelerate away from them, and that's what you see on tape. Ron also alluded to the fact that this is a guy that makes contested catches. Ron also alluded to the fact that there are concentration drops, and I talked about that yesterday as well, and I talked about that on his breakdown. There are concentration drops, easy balls that you expect him to catch, and then he'll make some tough catches, and you see him catching balls in contested situations. I don't see him making catches in 50-50 situations where he's going up and climbing the ladder per se. But, if he's running a comeback coming down the stem and the corner's right there draped all over him, I've seen him catch those types of football. So he's not just a deep threat, but I feel like his game is predicated off of his speed, being able to set up everything else. I've used the analogy already. He's a three-point shooter that has to see his shot go in and have the defense respect the fact that he can shoot the three. And when they start running out towards the three-point line to take it away, that's when you go by and get to the rim. Same thing with Dyami Brown. He sets up everything else by his ability to get vertical. Once he's able to do that, you have to respect the speed. You got to back up a bit, or at least be cognizant that he can run by you, and that's when he starts to get a lot of the easy catches underneath. So I love the pick. They love that pick. They really wanted Dyami Brown. They feel really fortunate to get him in the third round because, again, that was a guy that I thought was going to come off the board in the second round. So I feel like that's a big win for Washington, getting Dyami Brown at 82 overall. And so that sets the stage for day number 3. So let's talk about day 3 really quickly and what to expect. I think the first thing you have to be thinking is tight end. They didn't address the position. I think that's something that they want to do. Brevin Jordan is a guy I know that they love, and Ron talked about how impactful these Zoom conference calls have been and how the guys that he's talking, that's how I've kind of based my decision making on how I thought they were going to move in this draft, is how they've been in contact with players. And Ron says he thinks this is something that he's going to do in the future, is continue with these Zoom conference calls. He feels like this is a really positive way to go and really get to know some of these players and know if they're a great fit. And let me also say this. Ron started off the presser by saying that every single one of the guys they took on day number 2 were good character fits. So that tells me right there, then again, they weren't going to ever take Michael Parsons. He was never going to be a great fit here. So for those of you out there, and I had someone ask me last night, do you think Ron would have taken Michael Parsons had he been available at 19? No. That tells me right there that Michael Parsons was never going to be a good fit in Washington, because Ron continues to hammer home the point that guys have to be the right character fit for this organization, and I don't have a problem with that. Have convictions, stick with your convictions. If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. Ron has a way of going about his business and players that he wants in this organization, and I love it. I absolutely love that he stands for something. And so going back to day number 3, however, tight end is, I think, the first thing they have to address. And Brevin Jordan is a guy that they really liked, and he's still there, and I think he'll be there at the time of Washington's pick in the 4th round. So look for tight end to be addressed. If he's not there, I don't know where they turn, because Trey McKitty has already been taken. We saw Tommy Tremble already go, and Hunter Long, the tight end. That was my fallback option if there was no Brevin Jordan. Well, we could get Hunter Long. Well, Hunter Long is gone. Miami snatched him up, and Trey McKitty is gone. So I'm looking around and I'm saying the next guy would probably be Kenny Yeboah if there is no Brevin Jordan. But to me, those are really the last 2 real options. There are other guys that are in this draft that you may be able to get excited about. But I think you're starting to run out of options if you don't get Brevin Jordan, which is why I think you need to go ahead and pull the trigger in the 4th round. In the 5th round, I think this is when you start looking at some of those items that we had a little bit further down the list. Running back, defensive end. Safety is still in play, because I don't think they look at Benjamin St-Juste as a safety. I think they see positional flex and his ability to potentially play safety, but they think he's a corner. And listening to Ron, there's no doubt in my mind he's a corner. So safety could also be something that they target in the 4th round as well. Do not discount that. But I would go after tight end, similar to the decision that they made in the 2nd round, where they said, hey, we could go receiver. There are a lot of receivers we like. They said, but the tackle position is drying up. We need to probably get that now. There's still receivers that we think we can get a little bit later on, because it's a deep receiver class. Same thing could be said about tight end in the 4th round. Look, there are probably going to be some safeties that are still, a lot of safeties that I like in this draft are still available, and you could probably get one in the 4th round. But guess what? There aren't many tight ends left. I say you get the tight end and you double back in the 5th round, and you get one of these safeties that I think will still be around, waiting for you to select. If you so choose to go the safety route at some point in this draft, I think you get the tight end out of the way in the 4th round. I think you double back. You can get a safety in the 5th round or an edge rusher in the 5th round. They really want to add some depth to this defensive line coming off the edge. So don't be surprised if they add a defensive end. I think they also want to add a young running back to the mix. It doesn't necessarily mean they are going to draft one, but they do want to add a young running back to the mix. So that's another position to take a look at. And they may not be done at linebacker, okay? I think they can add more depth to this group. And so linebacker isn't out of the question, adding another guy. But again, they're going to take care of some other needs before they double back and get a second player at a position already selected in this draft. So I expect tight end to be something that they target early. I expect safety to be another position that they take a look at. Defensive end is something I think they're interested in taking a look at. Also, running back is another position that I think they would love to add to the mix and add another young guy to this group. So those are positions that I think you should be looking for. And if we're rating the importance of them targeting these positions, I think tight end is at the top of that list. I think safety then becomes something to take a look at. Don't rule out nickel corner either, even though Benjamin St-Juste is here. He's not a nickel, and that was discussed in their presser that he's not a guy that can kick inside. And Ron even said himself and admitted, this is not a guy we really want going up against smaller wide receivers, okay? We like him against big receivers, so we don't want him inside. His work will be done outside as a boundary corner, which is totally understandable, and there's not a ton of evidence of him kicking inside on tape anyhow. So for me, tight end is your number one need in the day 3 of the draft, followed by safety. And then I think at that point, you got 2 7th rounders after that if Washington doesn't make a move to come up or move back to pick up more picks. If they stand pat with just the 4 selections that they have and don't move, then you find yourself in the 7th round. And at that point, I don't want to call them throwaway picks because we got Cameron Curl last year in the 7th round, but you find yourself in that territory where you just go, okay, let's see what we can find. We'll throw a couple darts in the dark, and if they stick, awesome. If they don't, it is what it is. So again, tight end, safety, edge rusher, running back, those are the 4 positions I'm looking at. And if they do anything else differently, so be it. But I think the first two positions are ones that I really expect them, especially tight end, but safety as well, especially if they view Benjamin St-Juste as a corner. And I really believe that that is the case after listening to Ron Rivera and Martin Mayhew speak about BSJ. So with that said, that's a brief synopsis of day number 2 and what you should be looking for heading into day number 3 of this draft. When it's all done, we'll break this thing down, take a look at what Washington was able to do, and then you'll get the in-depth breakdown probably early next week, maybe Monday, Tuesday, as we get into the draft wrap-up series. We'll break this draft down in its entirety and give you the reels on Washington's 2021 draft class. So without any further ado, I'm going to get out of here, allow you to kind of get yourself together, start this Saturday off the right way, whether it's with breakfast or whatever, the gym, you name it, whatever you decide to do. And we'll reconvene at some point either later on this weekend or kicking off the week with more Washington football team talk. So with that said, I am a Washington fan, etched in burgundy and gold. My Washington spirit will never die. Washington spirit will never fold. Until we meet again, hail to the beloved Washington football team. Remember, if you haven't hit that pre-order sale, please do so. Limited edition Ron's Plan t-shirt. Get you one while supplies last. I will leave you with this video just to kind of remind you of what we have gone through and what this guy has done coming in, changing the culture, and why this shirt, I feel like, it is an important one for me at this time. So with that said, I'm going to glide to the side, allow you to enjoy your weekend. I thank you guys for joining me. And last night was crazy. Hopefully today, Washington caps off what's been a really positive draft to this point with more good football players. I'll see you later on. Take care.